Hey, what's up, guys? I haven't done a public video in a little while, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. Yesterday, if you didn't see, I made a post about moderation and how one of the biggest lies being told in the weight loss industry is that there is a certain food or a group of food or macronutrient or whatever that you simply cannot eat if you're trying to be healthy or if you want to lose weight. And my point was that's absolutely untrue, scientifically totally untrue. So some people kind of twisted that around a little bit. So from me saying that there's no such thing as a food that you cannot eat if you're trying to lose fat or get healthy, people interpret that as, oh, well, then you're saying that you can eat McDonald's 3 times a day. And I have no idea how one draws that conclusion from what I said, because that isn't what I said. I mean, that's like saying that I accidentally stepped on an ant the other day and you drawing the conclusion that I said that murder is totally fine. It just doesn't add up, because what I'm saying is if you're going to eat something, once every couple of weeks, once a week, once every couple of months or whatever, I don't care how bad that food is for you, whether it's the ingredients or whatever, it's not going to totally derail your health efforts. There's no such thing as a food that's that detrimental that you're going to die instantly or gain 10 pounds instantly from eating. It just doesn't exist. I mean, the reality is that our bodies are pretty adaptable and they're designed to deal with things like that. You know what I mean? Now, that is definitely not to say that I think that you should be eating fast food 3 times a day. But I do think that it's important that people have flexible diets, because the reality is when you're too restrictive and you try and eliminate everything, they don't last. I mean, that's exactly why most dieters yo-yo back and forth, is because they're too restrictive and then they swing to the other wild extreme, and that's to eat whatever they want. And I can honestly say that I do eat whatever I want, but most of the time what I want to eat is a pretty nutritionally sort of dense choice. It's not fast food. Now, do I eat fast food every once in a while? Yes, most definitely. I absolutely do. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because like I said, on a short-term intermittent basis, there is absolutely nothing saying that that's going to affect my long-term health. And until there's a study that comes out that proves me wrong, that's my story. I mean, I think we've seen that time and time again in many examples of athletic people who eat treats or whatever you want to call it now and again, and who have excellent health. And that's not just they look great, but that's that their blood profiles are excellent, their level of cardiovascular health is excellent. I mean, those are the real markers. And people can't say that eating a burger every once in a while is going to negatively impact that, because it's not true. It's simply not true. Um, and anybody that tells you so is a liar. I mean, really, that's what it boils down to. And I'm not one to misrepresent the facts, and those are the facts. Now, if you're my client, or you're somebody that I'm close to, or if I'm creating my own program, clearly I have my own opinions about food and what I think, and I use the term loosely, is better for your health, and what you should maybe try and stay away from. Absolutely. And those people that work with me and that I have a vested interest with, making sure that we achieve a certain result, and et cetera, then am I going to pass on those recommendations? For sure. But I'm not the food police. I don't get to tell people what they can and can't eat. I get to educate them about what sort of choices they're making. When I make the decision to swing by McDonald's after a couple of beers, then I know exactly what I'm eating. I know what's in it. I'm not going into this as a complete idiot. And I think the problem is that people are saying that, oh, fast food is awful and terrible. And yeah, I totally get it. I mean, some of the meat that goes into that is questionable. Some of the ingredients are questionable, et cetera, et cetera. But if everybody was only eating, one every 2 weeks or one a month, do you really think we would still have this problem? No, absolutely not. The problem is that people are eating it 3 times a day. And what's happening right now is that people are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. They're saying, oh, well, it's so bad for you, you should just never eat it ever again. And that's not realistic. You can't tell people, oh, never eat that ever again, because usually the opposite happens. It's just like when you walk into a room and you tell your toddler, hey, you see that breakable thing over there? Don't touch it. You know what they're going to do? They're going to touch it because you told them not to. And it's no different than dealing with diet stuff. It's very much psychological. And you can't tell people, oh, never eat this ever again, because there's a good chance they might lust after it. And the reality is there's no reason for them to never eat it ever again. We could all stand to cut down on those things. I mean, clearly we have an epidemic with obesity and other, obesity related health problems for sure. But those people aren't eating one McDonald's burger a month. Those people are eating it all the time. And that's what the problem is. It's just sort of a lack of education about what you're eating. Now, if you are an educated person, and I think that most of us have the potential to be that, I don't think that you're idiots. I think that people are very aware of whether or not they're healthy. And I think that we just need to do more to educate people as to what quote unquote healthy is. So, should you be choosing foods that are more nutrient dense and that have, a simple ingredient list, if an ingredient list at all, most of the time? Yeah, absolutely. That's a logical choice. It's a logical choice for health. Now, should we be telling people that they can never eat ice cream again or that they can never have a burger again? No, I don't think we need to do that. And I don't think that it's necessary. I think that it's overkill. And I think when you start to plant these ideas in people's heads that they can't even smell this food without, dying or gaining weight or developing whatever, that we create sort of unnecessary fear surrounding these foods. And there's just, like I said, there's just absolutely no reason for it, because in moderation, I think that it's totally fine. Everything in moderation, including moderation, is the famous quote. And I totally believe in that. Sometimes, you just eat whatever you want for a couple of days, and that's cool too. Like I said, I'm not the food police. I don't get to tell people, what I think and what they should eat because of my ideas. It doesn't really matter what I have to say about it. So anyways, that's just sort of my thought process behind why flexible dieting is so important, and why it really pisses me off when people draw these wild conclusions from saying that I think that, eating a burger or eating other foods in moderation is okay, because it fucking is okay. That's just the end of it. There's no scientific evidence to really prove otherwise. And there's walking examples of people all over the world that eat pretty good most of the time and then occasionally have some treats and are still here, talking, breathing, and letting us know their stories. So clearly it's not a death sentence to be eating quote unquote junk food every once in a while. And so I really want people to know that. And I want people to know that when you factor in intense exercise, especially weight training and that sort of thing, that completely changes the game as well. Then your threshold for, dealing with sugar or other, bad calories, whatever you want to call it, is much higher. So if you're looking at a trained individual, then you can pretty much throw everything that you think you know about nutrition in the garbage, right? You can pretty much eat, a huge variety of foods, including foods that may or may not be considered good for you, and be totally fine. Like I said, if you're taking that as, oh, I can just eat junk all the time, then you're not getting it. You're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm just saying that your diet can be a little more flexible, and that's what's important, is flexible dieting. And it's making a diet that people can adhere to for a really long time, like a lifetime, right? I mean, that's the whole point here, is that you want to have a program that you can do forever. And if you tell people you can never eat this ever again, they're not going to be able to do it forever. And that's not my goal here. My goal is to make plans that are maintainable and that work with real life. And fucking real life means that every once in a while, yeah, you're going to hit a drive-through. It's inevitable. Or you're going to grab something from the grocery store or whatever that maybe somebody would consider fast food or that isn't good for you or something like that. And I want people to know that that's fine. You don't need to go home and wallow in guilt afterwards and starve yourself because you had a fucking cheeseburger. That's stupid. You know what I mean? Just eat the burger. It's just food. And then maybe the next couple of days make some better choices. Maybe not. I don't know what your training program looks like. It's not up to me. But I want people to have that power and that control, because it's your life and you get to make those decisions for yourself. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you have a food allergy or something else along those lines and you cannot eat a food, well, that's a totally, totally different scenario. I'm just talking about, your average healthy person who works out and who just wants to eat in a way that suits their lifestyle, and that suits most people's lifestyle. So again, I don't want people to hear that message, and often moderation is really twisted around and made backwards into eat whatever the fuck you want whenever you want it and just eat nothing but junk, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. And the people who are getting that from what I'm saying are just so far on the other side they can't see that there's a middle ground. There's the other extreme of orthorexia and extreme restriction and all these other diets that make maintainable lifestyles very difficult. And those people are looking at moderation saying, well, that's an extreme, and it really isn't. It's absolutely somewhere in the middle. It's eating good food that is nutrient dense and that is, nourishing for your body and for your performance most of the time, and then incorporating treats some of the time. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell. It's not extreme. It is totally in the middle. So I encourage everybody to think for themselves when it comes to decisions like that, and to not be too hard on yourself and to beat yourself up, and to, really think about what your goal is long term, because it's long term that matters. And saying you're going to eliminate something from your diet for the rest of your life just isn't maintainable for most of us. So don't feel bad about it, and don't let people push you around when it comes to their ideas about nutrition. It's not their business. What you eat is your business. So, use your brains, and I know you will, because you're all smart people. And so that's kind of it. The importance of flexible dieting. So have a great one. And if you guys have any questions, hop on the Facebook page or fire me an email. Okay? Ciao.